Hello, everyone. And welcome to the Successful But Single podcast, where we're doing our thing without a ring. I am your host, Natalie Freeman, y'all. And tonight we're just going to have a special podcast session. Brief, but awesome. So come on in. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube, and it will be posted later on to all the streaming platforms that Successful But Single is found. Y'all, thank you for just supporting us over this last year and a half. You know, back in the pandemic, when all of us were at home, sheltered, lonely, that is when this podcast started, right? Because we were just trying to figure out what were singles doing with our time. How could we overcome these challenges of being at home without anyone? And fast forward, y'all, 2 years, we are still here. And again, just come on in, invite your friends. If you see this, go ahead and share it, because we're going to be talking about some important stuff this evening. We're going to be talking about how to cope with loneliness, tips on how to cope with loneliness, because this is the season. This is the season where we should be like spreading joy, right? Caroling, fa la 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 lying. But for a lot of people, it is not a happy time. The holidays, we put a lot of pressure. We set a lot of expectations that this should be, boo, cuffing season and time with boo and bae, or just time with family that many people may not have, y'all. So I wanted to do my part for the Successful Single community, but anybody, right? Because this deals, epidemic deals with more than just single people. And so I just wanted to take a time this evening to bring in someone licensed. Y'all know this season was about bringing in the people who could help us overcome. So go ahead and share this. It's going to help you. It's going to help me. As you can see, the lovely Shelly Agide has joined us this evening. She is from Moving Forward Today. Did I say that right? I think I said it right. Journey Forward,
yes.
Journey Forward. I was mixing up the website.
We are moving forward.
We are moving forward, are we not? So she is from Journey Forward. And she has 15 years of experience, y'all. She has a master's degree and a licensed marriage and family therapist. She excels and she provides strategy to people, especially in the healthcare field, about getting over trauma, not necessarily looking back, but how to take that experience and move forward. So tonight we want to welcome Shelly. Hey, Shelly.
Hey, thank you for having me again. I really appreciate it. I love being here with you and sharing with the community, just right? Anything that we can get out to really support and help one another.
Absolutely. So thank you again, y'all. Go back to the podcast. It is on all major platforms, Successful But Single podcast. Shelly was with us in May. We talked about money and mental health, right? So you want to go check that out. That's always a good topic, right? That's timeless. It doesn't have to do with the holiday season. But we had to have Miss Shelly back again because we just wanted to talk about how we could cope. We really need to be dealing with this, y'all. So again, share it to your page, share it with your friends, let them know we're on, because we're not going to be on here long. We're going to hit it and quit it today, but we are going to talk. So Shelly, talk to us. Are you dealing with people right now with loneliness? When your clients are coming to you, are they saying one of the things that they're dealing with is loneliness?
Absolutely. Like you said, really loneliness, regardless of the season, is something that is one of the most concerning health epidemics. Actually, it really affects us not just emotionally and psychologically, but even physically. And so there has been a lot of research around how loneliness really affects, right, the elderly population, Latin immigrants, especially the LGBTQ community, right, minorities, etc. And so this is a topic that constantly comes up, right, in therapy and coaching, in my own life, right, as a single mom and with my friends as well. It's an important topic to address for sure.
Yes. So again, and that's why we're here. I mean, and y'all, this just didn't start. I mean, we deal with loneliness during the holidays. You begin to have memories of loved ones that are passed this year. And that's a lot of times, a lot of us are dealing with that too. Some people are just dealing with the first time that loved ones are not with them for the holidays. And so we just wanted to, again, just address that because, I mean, you're not alone. You are not alone in what you're dealing with. And we just want you to know, one, that people are here for you and that, there are steps that you can take to cope with it. But again, like I was saying, it just didn't start. Loneliness just doesn't start during the holidays. A lot of us have been feeling loneliness, and especially since the pandemic. I mean, 2020, I mean, y'all, that still has just set such a precedence in our life for a lot of things, finances, the economy, stay at home or don't stay at home, right? But in 2020, a survey was taken and it was saying 70% of people said that they experienced loneliness during that time. So, I mean, substance abuse, increased, domestic violence increased during that time, y'all. And it really hasn't diminished. I mean, 70%, y'all, like that's a lot of us. Like that's all of us because Americans were poll. I mean, but 70%, like that was, again, like I said, a great deal of us. I remember even reading something, Michelle Obama was saying that she was dealing with, loneliness and depression and things. And so can you tell us some of the signs, that people are struggling with loneliness, Shelly?
Yeah, so really there's a lot of factors, right, that we can look at that really touch the area of loneliness. Certainly you mentioned one. When someone has lost a loved one, we want to really, right, and kind of be aware, embrace that person because they can absolutely be dealing with feelings of kind of loneliness. And so loneliness is a little different than social isolation, which we'll touch on in just a second, but certainly kind of withdrawing is one sign that someone is kind of feeling lonely and therefore they're separating themselves. Really dealing with kind of anything that's going on that has to keep them indoors are things that can increase, right, the risk factors, especially for social isolation, which is related, but a little different than loneliness. And so we see some of the typical things, right? Sadness, some depression, some anxiety, and detachment, right? Withdrawal, separation, the way that you're talking about things, right? Someone that, was hopeful and maybe is a little more now during this season, especially kind of negative, doesn't want to come to a holiday event, right? Isn't going
Holiday
to the
parties,
typical
right?
work party that they would have gone to before, isn't buying, just doing kind of out of character behavior really is one of the ways that we can start to notice that things are a little different. We don't always notice, right? Sometimes things are really nuanced. And so we want to really check in with our loved ones during this time and really be present with one another.
Mm-hmm. So good, Shelly. So again, y'all, if you're just tuning in, this is the Successful but Single podcast. We're doing our thing without a ring. We're talking today about how to cope with loneliness during the holidays. And Shelly Agide is our guest this evening. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. And she just kind of giving us some indicators that those around you may be dealing with loneliness. She was just talking about not wanting to go to the holiday party, disconnected, even some of the things that they say, may be nostalgic, but twisted or negative, in a sense. And so we should reach out to our loved ones, our coworkers, neighbors, right? If you have neighbors next to you that do not have any family present or cannot get to their family, any veterans that you know of, again, that cannot get to their family members. If you see them and see them experiencing any of these signs, reach out to them. But this is the thing, Shelly, and I'm going to ask you about this too. If you would please give us some guidance concerning this. A lot of times we say, I don't know what to say, or I don't want to say anything. That's them. I don't want them to think that I'm getting into their business. Can you give us some words that we can use, or just some tips that we can use just to check on our loved ones?
Absolutely. So really the main thing that we want to convey to others when they're going through, whether it's feelings of loneliness, right, some kind of sadness, depression, is that we're just there for, we're available,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to have kind of a non-judgmental presence. So we want to listen non-judgmentally, something that we actually talk about in mental health first aid. We have a kind of acronym, ALGE. And so the first one is kind of assess, right? Make kind of try to check in and see if that person is experiencing some thoughts of wanting to harm themselves. We if you can check in on that piece, and then just listen non-judgmentally. The G then stands for giving reassurance and information. So some things that we can really just say that are basic is, hey, I'm here if you ever want to talk. Okay, in terms of listening, how is it going? That's one that I like, as well, that I use with my clients. It's very kind of open ended. So
Mm-hmm.
really asking kind of open-ended questions with no pressure. We might want to also say if we've noticed something that's different, we can call that out again in a very non-judgmental way. So, hey, I noticed you're not coming to the event on Friday. Is there something kind of going on? How are you feeling? I'm always here if you want to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So those are some things that we can kind of say in the same essence of giving reassurance and information. I know that the holidays can be hard for a lot of people. Um, Sometimes they're hard for myself. So know that I'm here if you want to grab a coffee, right? I know that there's seasonal affective disorder, there's the holiday blues, right? There's a lot of stuff going on during this time. So just know that I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
So really just being kind of open, and just present, right, in that non-judgmental spirit, without calling out. The opposite might be, right, a don't. Those were the do's. So don't might be, you're acting really weird, right? I think you just have to go to the holiday party because
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's wrong with you right
Yeah.
now. That comes across very different, and it might be the same caring heart inside, but it sounds, and the other person may receive that in a very different spirit.
Wow. Yeah. Just calling out the behaviors. And a lot of us do that just, I guess, unconsciously. Like, what's wrong with you? Especially if we see them acting different than they normally act, right? Like, we are really concerned, but, it's just like, or like, just come on, just come on to the party, right? So, again, thank you all who are listening and watching. Please feel free to share it to your pages again, because we just want to provide some tips, some help, some hope for people who are dealing with loneliness during this season. Not just any season, right? Because there may be triggering moments that come up for you, birthdays, or again, like I said, since the pandemic, there has just been all kind of things that have served as triggers, for all of us. So again, just talking to Miss Shelley this evening, trying to again help identify um, things that you may see in others or even yourself, to know if you're dealing with some loneliness. And then what can we say to our friends around us if they are dealing, with some things. And then even in yourself, y'all. So if you're in the chat, if you've experienced loneliness, please share that with us. If you, be so courageous. Again, we just want you to know that we're here with you, and it is okay. It is okay to say, I am lonely. I am dealing with something. I am struggling, with this right now, because there are places around, now, especially now with telehealth, you can get the help you need, or even Miss Shelley here, and we will put her credentials up after the show or even during the show, so that you can reach out if you're in the area. Well, you do virtually too, don't you?
Yes, I'm currently licensed just in the state of Florida, working on a
Okay.
couple of other licenses in other states, but I do
Awesome.
offer just coaching and consultation outside of Florida in a different capacity. Yeah.
So we will definitely put that up, especially if you are in Florida, right? You can do virtually, or she is in the Tampa Bay area if you are here locally. Again, 15 years of experience, a master's degree license to help us. So yes, if you're dealing with that, feel free to put in the chat, send me a private DM, and we can get you connected, right? So yeah, and so you mentioned something that we're going to just talk about for a minute. You said both of us personally, well, you didn't say both of us. You were saying personally, you've also experienced times of loneliness. You currently are not, married. Doesn't mean she's not in a relationship or anything, y'all, but, she's currently not married. So just tell us about a time that you've experienced loneliness and how you dealt with it.
Absolutely. So, I mean, holiday seasons, I'm open about how, especially as a single mom, the years that I don't have my kids for Christmas
Mhm.
morning, for example, can be especially hard for me.
Yeah.
And so I try to be proactive. And it doesn't mean I don't feel the feelings. I'm open about experiencing some, although say kind of holiday blues, right, from time to time. And so one of the things that I try to do is a couple of things. Number one, surround myself with my friends. So I have a great group of kind of girlfriends, and we will have those holiday dinners. A lot of us are moms as well, and so we have our group chat where we will support each other and talk about, what we're doing. For example, if you don't have your kids and you're a parent, kids usually don't realize what day it is and what's the right day to celebrate. So it's okay, right? Let's kind of reframe that. Let's celebrate a different day. And so
Mhm.
really taking advantage to do that with your friends and with your family. And then for me, and something else that I do that helps me is exercise. And so we know that one of the things that can really help us mentally, physically, right, emotionally, has just a huge impact is really getting movement in and
Mhm.
expending some of the extra energy that you tend to have when you have all those feelings. And so for me, it's been crucial. Just last week, right, I said, okay, I really need to exercise for the next few days straight. And that was really mood boosting for
Yeah.
me, right? I went 3 or 4 days, and then time helped as well. So knowing that feelings move, they're not stagnant, right? And they
I love
change.
that.
And so that's something that I'm aware of, even when I am feeling, down and low. I know that it'll pass, right?
Yeah.
This too shall pass. And
Mhm.
so that's been really helpful. And then the last kind of thing I'll say there for now, there's a couple of other tips I can give others, but another thing that I did is, kind of make sure that I had a good plan, right? So I don't have my kids. What am I going to be doing? And so I invited a friend, to kind of come and celebrate with me. One day, I decided that I would be cooking something special to take to the family event, and so I'll be traveling over. I'll be staying at a family member's home. I made plans for the next day. So really, right, not over planning or avoiding reality, but really just at making sure that you have somewhere to go, you have something to do, and that you
Mhm.
reach out for that support so that you can spend with others, right? Because many people, right, won't be with family or friends or loved ones. And so how can you spend that time together as well?
Mhm. So good, so good. That is so good, y'all. And I hope you're listening. If you're listening and you're just coming in, where this is the Successful but Single podcast. We're doing our thing without a ring. This is a topic today, y'all, that just does not affect singles. However, we are, of course, streaming live in the Successful but Single podcast group. But we do want you to invite your friends, your family on to listen with us today because we're talking about how to cope with loneliness. Our guest today is Miss Shelly Agide, and of Journey Forward.
You got it.
All right. So Shelly was just talking about a time, that she experienced loneliness and some things that she could do. So she said something so key, y'all, and I want to emphasize two of those points. She said, be proactive. If you're like me, you know your seasons. Like me, I know during the week by Thursday, I'm going to hit my wall. So I'm going to get very emotional. And so just be very aware, y'all, of the times. If you are co-parenting and you're not going to be with your children during the holidays, be proactive and go ahead and plan activities. Plan to have your special time with them the week before, if you're not going to be with them the week of a holiday. So you know these things. So be like really proactive. If you know that this season lost and you lost a grandmother, this favorite season, go ahead and be proactive. Come up with ways that you know that will help make the time a little easier, including even taking time if you need to go ahead and have a moment to cry or reflect, or you're going to journal. You're going to make her favorite candy or her favorite, are you going to decorate an ornament? Are you going to hang, do something that you all used to do together? It's okay to commemorate that time. It is okay to even cry during the time. I think sometimes we like to, I don't know the term, Shelly, in therapy, ignore, repress,
avoid, repress,
avoid, but you don't have to. You really don't have to. If you have a trusted friend that, will allow you to go ahead and share, your feelings, go ahead and take that time, because you said feelings. What did you say, Shelly? Feelings.
Yeah, feelings, right? Kind of luckily don't last forever, right? That we know that our feelings change, they move, and so typically we actually only we feel the more intense part of our feelings for about 20 seconds, maybe to 2 minutes.
That
And
bell
so,
curve, y'all.
right, there's that curve, luckily, and so we gotta kind of ride that wave. And I love what you said, Natalie, about the allowing yourself to cry when you need to. We also know that crying is one of our kind of innate coping mechanisms to release extra energy, right? To release emotion and to let that go, right? The body gets really, right, tends to get tight and overwhelmed, and luckily we have that ability to release that. And so when we do that, especially when we breathe and do that in a more relaxed body, instead of staying really tight and trying to fight against it, trying to avoid, or to kind of just tighten around that, right? And not let it happen, it's not as helpful. But when we allow ourselves to cry and kind of accept that that's what we need, we can actually feel more release and relief from that experience. So absolutely, crying when necessary. And then I'll just add, kind of going back, Natalie, to it, the kind of 5 tips. I know I shared an article with you from Mental Health First Aid. So a few of those I kind of mentioned as part of what I do already. So kind of number 1 is remembering that you're not alone. We know that just to check in, kind of, feeling lonely. You can feel lonely when you're surrounded by others, right?
Absolutely.
So it's an emotion that kind of is comes from that feeling, right? But that's a little bit different than not being socially connected. And so you can have the feeling of being alone regardless of the amount of social connection that you have, but having awareness of, who do you have in your life right now, right? What are you grateful for? And kind of connecting with others that might have similar feelings is one of the first things that you can do as a tip around feeling lonely during the holidays. And the second thing is to reach out.
Go on, but I really want to emphasize that too, y'all. Really know that you're not alone. A lot of times our expectations are high. I think I said that at the beginning of the show. Our expectations are high about this season. We have imagined and we have envisioned that we're going to be surrounded by loved ones and friends, and me especially, y'all. My best friend is very good at kind of helping me through this time, because December, I always seem to do some interesting things, right? Because in my mind, another year has gone by and no boo, right? Doing our thing without a ring, right? And so she helps me get through this time sometimes. But what I've been learning and what I've been taking time to recognize is just to stop, take 1 second and just stop and say, who do I have around me? And you all, if you really take the time for a brief moment to look around you, a neighbor will come to mind, a coworker will come to mind, someone at church will come to mind, somebody online. I have Facebook friends, y'all, that have just popped up into my life, and we have really connected. And even though we met on social media and we've come off social media and connected, and now we're like hanging out, on a regular basis. So amazing. So take the time to recognize and do not discount the people that you do have. Even if you have a pet right now, again, not necessarily what you envisioned, but do not discount what you do have, because it can be so rich, and you can really have another level of gratefulness when you stop for a moment and just realize who you do have. No, again, 2022, y'all, still, ringless, right? But so many quality friendships, and a wonderful fur baby. You know what I mean? And so, again, I just wanted to really pause. I didn't want you to go too fast over that, because a lot of times we miss an opportunity for gratefulness when we don't stop long enough to see who we do have around us. Okay, so that was number one. So we're talking about, y'all, tips to cope with loneliness.
Yeah. And so I think that actually connects really well with one of the other tips, which is around kind of recalibrating our expectations. And so, and the way that I like to look at this is through really, instead of what the culture, right? What our culture around us, our environment, our society, right? And kind of Hallmark and everything else
Yes, and we get
imposes
caught up in
upon
the
us.
Hallmark movies, y'all. We get caught up.
Let's avoid that. That's tip number 6. Avoid the sappy romantic comedies, the rom-coms
Oh God.
after the new year. But yeah, is recalibrating your expectations. So for me, even when I was married for 10 years. What was most important for me was being with family and kind of being surrounded by family. And that was actually something that was a little bit of a different value for my ex-husband and I. And for him, the holidays meant time off of work, where what he valued was being able to relax, kind of cozy up and stay home. Right. And so for me, what was most valuable and what still is to be surrounded by family, to have those traditions. And so kind of checking in on what are your values, what's really important to you around holidays. Is it volunteering, right? Is it giving back, which is another tip, right, that is helpful to kind of stay connected to your community. So we got kind of, just to start recapping, because I'm going a little quick, kind of remembering and checking in, who you have, that you're not fully alone, right? And acknowledging some gratitude for what you do have and who you have. Second, we talked about kind of calibrating expectations around what's really valuable for you versus, right, what society and the environment kind of imposes. 3 is kind of giving back to your community. Right? How can you stay connected to others? We know research anecdotally that when we're able to give back and kind of pay it forward, we feel more connected to others.
Yes.
Right? And so that is actually a factor that helps with loneliness. A couple of other things that, I kind of referred back to, in a sense, for me, exercise is part of my self-care. So not only one of the things that I do and I really recommend with others is put a self-care plan together for folks. And the first thing we do is a self-care assessment, which talks about how much time do you really spend in different activities, different categories, right? Physical health, psychological, spiritual, even professional activities that really help revitalize you. And so we assess that and we see, and it's nice to see it's eye-opening. And then we also then make a plan to which of those areas, especially during the holidays, do you want to make sure you spend time doing, right? So that self-care piece is actually something to really be aware of. How are you taking care of yourself? And sometimes it's making sure you get time to sit outside in nature,
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Spend some time reading if that's something that you love. Natalie, you mentioned journaling,
Mhm.
staying connected with friends,
Yes.
exercise, treating yourself to massage even
Yes.
can be really helpful to have
Going
touch.
dancing, turning on music.
Yes, yes. We know touch is really important, right? And we can also kind of, give ourselves some nice touch. We can give ourselves, some massage. We can go and get one. We can hug our loved ones, extra tight. So there's kind of different things that
It's
that we
so
can do.
good.
I think the last one that I started to mention was just reaching out and really staying connected, right? Making those plans. And we mentioned being proactive. And
Mhm.
so how can like during the pandemic, we did a lot of FaceTime. We did those games online. We were really
We
aware.
did.
And I think we've lost some of that. So during
Yes.
the holidays, how can you bring awareness back to staying connected, whether it be writing, postcards to your
Mhm.
loved ones,
Oh, I love
whether
it.
it be
Yes.
sending those emails. Remember when e-cards were a thing,
Yes.
right? Even virtually making a phone call, FaceTime, etc. How can we really be a little more intentional about
Yes.
reaching out and staying
And that
connected?
was the word, yes, that I was thinking. Being intentional, y'all. So, and that goes, it's two sides of the coin, right? Being intentional to look for signs of the loved ones around you that they may be experiencing loneliness, continuously backing out of the holiday events, avoidance, keeping very short calls, just a change in the way that they look, sleeping a lot, just not wanting to go to work even during this time. So keep an eye out for those things. And then Shelly gave us some ways that you can ask, and some ways you can avoid, some things you can avoid saying to someone who may be experiencing loneliness. So you look, but then also, if you are experiencing loneliness yourself, if you're know that one, you're not alone, and two, I pray that you have the courage to speak up. Speak up. And there are ways, right? Sometimes it's hard to say, "Hey, Shelly, I'm lonely," but you can send a text message, right? You can send a text message. You can send someone, an IG message. You can, you know what I mean? Let somebody know, y'all, because again, not only are there friends and family that are usually around that will help you get through this time, there are also professions that can help you. That's why you see the banner running below of Miss Shelley. So I hope I'll let it run by a few more times so you can hopefully screenshot that if you need to. Thank you all for those who shared. I saw some of you tag some friends in it. And y'all, if they tagged you, don't get offended. You know that your name is out there. Just know that they love you, or know that they know that you can be a conduit to other people who need to hear the information. So thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for taking this little time out of your evening to spend with us. We again just wanted to address this. I thought this would be a perfect last podcast of the season. So remember to check us out wherever your favorite podcast distribution channels are. Successful but Single Podcast. You can hear this one from tonight once it's uploaded. You can also go to the YouTube channel to hear it. You can also go back and hear some of our previous episodes from the year. Yes, we did slow down a little bit. Success kind of got in the way of the single, y'all, but we will be back. But this season, we wanted to make sure that you had some professionals that you could share with, chat with, and just that could be a blessing to you on how to deal with different things that we're going through in this season. But as you know, I love to just deal with relationship things, y'all, and how to deal with loneliness is certainly a relationship issue that pops up during this time of the year. So Shelly Aguirre, my friend of moving forward. Did I say it right? I always say it wrong.
Journey forward.
Forward.
We're
Shelly's a
moving forward.
Yes,
Yeah.
Shelly's a friend of mine, but she's also y'all professional. So look her up. Connect with her, get resources. I will go ahead and also put those tips to cope in the chat when we are through with this broadcast. But just wanted to thank you again, but let you know that you are dear to us. And I hope that you stay tuned for more exciting episodes of Successful but Single podcast in the coming year. But most importantly, y'all, we have to journey forward. We have to do something to cope with the loneliness, not only that we experience during the holiday season, but anytime. These steps will help anytime, right? So thank you again for tuning in. Shelly, did you want to say anything to the people before we sign off?
No, just to continue to kind of take care of yourselves, and I will, clarify. Sometimes that does mean, also knowing what your boundaries are, right? And so
Mhm.
maybe there is an all-day family function, and you're not feeling it, right? I talked about this recently,
Mhm.
and you go for just a few hours. That's
Oh, that's
okay
good,
too,
Shelly.
right? Take care of yourself, right?
That's
If
good. That's a
set those,
good one.
yeah, set those boundaries, right? You don't have to kind of suffer through the holidays. You
True.
can be intentional, right? According to your values, what's most important to you, where do you want to be, how long do you want to be there? So that
Good.
was all. I just wanted to say happy holidays to everyone, and happy new year.
Mm-hmm. Thank you all for tuning in. Again, Shelly Agide. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy holidays to everyone. Blessings to you all.